Welcome to Beyond Belief. I'm really glad you're here. Whether you're driving through traffic, sitting with a cup of coffee, or lying in bed pretending you're going to sleep early, but actually thinking, this space is for you. Not the version of you that has everything together. The real you, the tired you, the thinking you, the wondering you, the you that doesn't always have everything figured out. Because honestly, nobody has everything together. Some people are just better at looking like they do. You know those people, calm, composed, peaceful. Meanwhile, internally, they're one unanswered email away from a full identity crisis. We've all been there. And today, we're stepping into a moment in Scripture that reminds us God meets us there too. Not just when we're perfect, but when we're human. Human beings are incredibly intelligent. We build cities, we build technology, we send things into space. And yet somehow, we still hide from difficult conversations, especially the ones that start with, "So, we need to talk." Those 4 words can stop your heart faster than a medical condition. Suddenly, your brain starts reviewing every decision you've made since 27. What did I do? What do they know? Can I move to another country? It's amazing how quickly we consider relocation when exposure is involved. Because exposure makes us feel vulnerable. And vulnerability makes us feel unsafe. So we hide, not physically, but emotionally. We hide behind competence. We hide behind strength. We hide behind humor. Humor is a great hiding place. Because if you can make people laugh, they stop looking deeper. But eventually, every human being encounters a moment where hiding is no longer possible. And that moment can either break you or transform you. I remember being young, holding a report card that I was not excited to show anyone. And that walk home felt like walking towards a court hearing. You start bargaining with reality. Maybe they'll focus on the good subjects. Maybe they'll miss the bad ones. Maybe this isn't that serious. Meanwhile, you know exactly how serious it is. I remember handing it over, watching them read it, waiting. And that silence felt like it lasted for 3 to 5 business days. It was probably just 5 seconds, but shame stretches time. And in that moment, it didn't feel like I had done something wrong. It felt like I was something wrong. That's the struggle and danger with shame. It doesn't just address your behavior. It questions your worth. Let's dive into John 8, where a woman is caught committing adultery. Now imagine this woman. Her worst moment didn't stay private. It became public. She wasn't quietly corrected. She was publicly exposed, dragged into the center of a crowd. But here's where things get interesting. The religious leaders bring her forward, but they're not interested in true justice. You see, under Roman law, the Jews didn't have the right to carry out a death sentence. They were under Roman rule. The religious leaders knew this. So why would they bring her to Jesus, knowing that Jesus might be forced to choose between violating law or following Jewish law? It was a trap. But even more shocking is the hypocrisy of their actions. According to Jewish law, both the man and the woman involved in adultery should be brought forward and punished. But where's the man? Why is only the woman here? This wasn't about justice. This was about control. And there's more. Jewish law requires at least 2 witnesses to confirm an accusation of adultery. But here, there are no witnesses, just accusations. The whole situation was a scam designed to expose Jesus, not to seek the truth. The religious leaders were not looking for justice. They were looking for a reason to condemn. And then Jesus does something unexpected. He bends down and starts writing in the dirt. Why? Because when people rush you into reacting, calm becomes power. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't scrambling. He was grounded. Have you ever noticed how calm people are frustratingly powerful? You come prepared with your argument, your evidence, your energy, and they just sit there, unshaken. And suddenly, you don't know what to do. You can't fight peace. Peace disarms conflict. And that's exactly what Jesus was doing. He was disarming shame. I remember breaking something once that didn't belong to me. And I delayed telling the truth because somehow, in my mind, avoidance felt safer than honesty, which makes no logical sense. But emotionally, it makes perfect sense. Eventually, truth catches up. It always does. And when I finally told them, they didn't respond with anger. They responded with grace. And I remember the feeling relief so deep, it felt physical. Because grace doesn't just resolve situations. Grace restores people. So Jesus stands up. And he says, "Let anyone without sin throw the first stone." And suddenly, nobody qualifies. One by one, people start leaving, which must have been surreal for the woman because she expected pain. She expected punishment. She expected rejection. But instead, she experienced grace. The Bible tells us the older ones left first. Which makes sense, because the older you get, the more aware you become of your own imperfections. When you're young, you think you're almost perfect. When you're older, you realize you're being carried by grace more than you ever realized. Age doesn't give you wrinkles. It gives you perspective. And Jesus asks her, "Where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And she says, "No one." And he says, "Neither do I condemn you." Now just pause for a moment. Neither do I condemn you. Not denial, not approval. In fact, he tells her to sin no more. But grace. Condemnation traps you in the past. Grace releases you into your future. I once saw an elderly man drop something fragile in a shop, and it shattered. And his reaction wasn't anger, it was fear. He immediately started apologizing over and over. But the owner simply said, "Hey, it's okay." And you could see relief wash over him instantly. Because mercy restores dignity faster than punishment ever could. Here's the truth. God always knows everything about you. Everything. The good, the bad, the things nobody else knows. And he still chooses grace. Not because he ignores reality, but because grace is stronger than your past. Your worst moment is not your defining moment. Grace is. You are not the sum total of your failures. You are the person grace chooses to stand beside. Grace doesn't just erase your past. It gives you a future you couldn't create on your own. And now, may you walk lighter. May you breathe easier. May you stop carrying what grace has already lifted. And may you discover peace in knowing you were never alone. If today's episode has touched you, if you've ever felt weighed down by shame or wondered if grace could really reach you, pause for a moment and let this sink in. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to fix everything first. You only need to let it meet you where you are. And if you'd like to continue this journey, join the conversation. Send a message, leave a comment, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear that grace really has the final word. Because stories like yours and mine are meant to be shared. And in sharing, we discover that none of us are alone. So take a breath and receive it, and step forward into the freedom waiting for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Remember, grace doesn't just find you at your best. It finds you at your worst and stays. This is beyond belief, and grace always has the final word. God bless.